I feel for the...
And everyone was lost.
Your plan.
He says...
Are powerful emotions. Sleep deprivation headpiece.
May is a paper in her hand.
She can kill with no weapon. With what ship? And see who gets to her first.
Why?
They'll improve it.
Then why didn't you tell Osha?
You locked everyone in.
They got a hyperdrive.
Senator Raincourt's here to see.
How is your stomach?
It's my head.
Running a murder investigation without
The
reporting.
Jedi.
There are Good. He is mine.
We don't control the...
And when, not if that happens. Can't imagine a galaxy without the Jedi.
Is that all, Senator?
It's the Drellic. He may invite you to a Senate.
Did I give you the impression that I was a fair person? Osha!
I can do.
All the way.
Not if she gets you first.
All of this death, do this. This level of destruction, hatred of you, my grief. How could he teach you to
Now you pay for what you've done.
Your anger.
I want to pay for his crimes.
You are not dead. But if I believe she used the Force. See, very few have been there. I... Acting you. It was the in this way. Train. They never so many times. But because I love.
You
Follow me. To leave. I know a way out. Trust me. No! You too.
So can the Jedi.
They'll have to.
Even after every... Remove any trace of you.
I can't lose you again. Ernest too. You give.
On any weapons that you have, and surrender.
They say I'm seeing a man. I run away.
It's from when you were 8 years old.
16. There were many casualties. A rogue Jedi named...
Speaking on behalf of, I can assure you, while this crime, long it twisted his mind. But I need your help.
The stranger, Kimir, Manny Jacinto, discovers Osha, a Mandlistenberg living in a tunnel and has his Cortosis helmet on her head as the episode begins. When Osha begins to pant for oxygen, Kimir tries to go close to her and take off the helmet, only to discover that Osha has taken over his thoughts in the same manner that Mother Anasea previously did for Torben. To reach the helmet and ultimately remove it off Osha, Kimir must struggle against the darkness that Osha draws him into and resist the Force's grasp on his body. Shaken, Osha claims to have seen a vision of her twin sister May murdering Jedi Master Sol, Li Jung-jae with a lightsaber in her hand but not really using it to bring him to his death. The vision becomes apparent to Kimir as a potential near future in which May fulfills her role as his acolyte. Osha responds that she still has the power to stop May and that this future isn't set in stone just yet. With the only ship to get to May, Kimir wonders how she can stop her, making it obvious that he plans to find her. Kimir accepts Osha's alliance proposal, saying they may go together to find May and observe which of them she chooses to pay attention to. 16 years after Sol told May the truth about what had happened on her home planet Brendok, she is still restrained on Sol's spacecraft. After bringing him back to Brendok, Sol says he will summon Master Vernstra Rawo, Rebecca Henderson to view evidence of the Force Vergence that Brendok is said to possess. Sol uses May and Osha as unquestionable examples of how the Force may be used to produce life on Brendok. May strikes up a debate, using Pip the droid's head as a lockpick on her bindings, but then responds that Sol's proof wouldn't excuse his murder of Mother Anasea. May questions why Sol never told Osha the truth if he felt so certain in his justification for doing all of this. Sol responds that May started the fire that eventually destroyed the Coven and that murdering Anasea was an accident. May is adamant that Sol started the whole thing with the Jedi's invasion of her house, which ultimately led to its destruction. With tears in his eyes, Sol admits that his true sorrow stems from his failure to save Osha and May when he had the opportunity. He tries to convince May that Osha isn't actually her sister or twin, but May breaks free and zaps Sol with Pip, leaving him dumbfounded. May escapes via the ship, with Basil following closely behind, as Sol gets well and pursues. May tells Sol, "See you in hell, Jedi," as Pip guides her to an escape pod, where she buckles in, dons a pilot's helmet, and takes off in the direction of Brendok's surface. Sol rushes into his ship's cockpit and follows May all the way to Brendok's surface. Thinking Sol's spacecraft is too enormous to follow, May guns the throttle and sends Sol on a pursuit into the cold ring around one of Brendok's moons. Even yet, Basil seems worried as freezing crystals start to strike the spacecraft and Sol pursues. Basil disconnects several cables within the spacecraft and disables the accelerator as Sol tries to speed. May's spacecraft loses direction and spins out of the ice ring, hitting hard on the surface of Brendok, while Sol's ship stalls. Jedi Mog, Harry Trevaldwyn, approaches Rawo at the Jedi Temple on Coruscant and tells her that Senator Rayencourt, David Harewood, is there and would want to talk with her. The fact that Rayencourt has come to sabotage Rawo and was allowed entry by Jedi security astounds and irritates her at the same time. Inside Rawo's rooms, Rayencourt is waiting to find out how she is doing following her hyperspace journeys, which he knows cause her illness. Rawo corrects the senator's concern over her stomach, stating that she is well and that hyperspace travel only affects her head. When Rawo questions Rayencourt about why he has come in person, he reveals that he has heard that Rawo is looking into a Jedi murder without reporting it to the Senate or Jedi Council. Rawo responds that this is an internal matter that she is handling on her own, within her legal authority to report only more serious threats. Rayencourt urges Rawo to explain why there isn't a bigger threat at play, and she makes the mistake of admitting there have been other Jedi killings while also saying she's almost done with the murderer. Rayencourt inquires as to whether the suspect is a Jedi, but Rawo refuses to respond and begins to walk away. Getting personal, Rayencourt claims he is aware that she dislikes him and his demands for a re-examination of the Jedi Order, which he regards as a vast, unbridled force masquerading as a religion, and that is untrue and self-deluded in its claims that Jedi are superior Zen master monks. Rayencourt believes that before a Jedi loses their cool and turns rogue, posing a serious threat that could be impossible for other Jedi to neutralize, it's only a matter of time and numbers. According to Rayencourt, perceptions of the Jedi need to be lowered from their current status as legendary heroes to that of the broken organization that they actually are. After listening, Rawo shows the senator where to go by opening the door with her force powers. After telling Rawo that an official tribunal is being sent to examine the murder probe, Rayencourt departs. Donning black cloaks, Osha and Kimir proceed to the narrow stretch of land where Kimir's ship is berthed. Kimir inquires along the route as to their destination, but Osha won't say since she fears losing her power. Osha criticizes Kimir for acting harsh when he makes agreements with her and May and keeps his end of the bargain. Osha informs Kimir that she is not May, and he accepts as May readily accepted his offer when he attempts to get her to become his pupil once more. A strange-looking monster that has been lurking in Kimir's tunnel lair emerges to watch the two leave as they board the ship and take off. When Sol eventually touches down on Brendok, he stops to gaze for a while before turning back on his ship's transponder. He steps outdoors and follows May, using his force sense to find her. Basil watches Sol embark on the ship. Rawo is attempting to make a covert call to an unidentified person on Coruscant, implying that she is aware he is unavailable but that she must talk with him still because of an urgent matter. The representative answering the phone assures her that her request will be forwarded to the appropriate person. Mog walks in and tells about the discovery of Sol's spacecraft on Brendok. A group of Jedi Knights has secretly assembled and Rawo has prepped her ship to finally impose a resolution on the dispute. Kimir and Osha learn that May and Sol have already defeated them on Brendok when they arrive in the meantime. As Sol makes his way back to the Coven's debris, he notices Kimir's ship approaching and hears flashes of the terrible night he killed Anasea. When Osha and Kimir arrive at the Coven stronghold's entrance, Osha says that the only way inside is via hacking the door controls. Kimir questions if Osha is accurate, and when he turns around, Osha is gone. After navigating the debris to reach the catwalk, where he freed Osha and let May to fall, May scales the edge of the catwalk to enter the fortress. May hears Sol shouting her name, so she runs away from him. When she walks into the room she used to share with her mother and sister, she is overcome with nostalgia. Osha goes outside and operates the door controls before going inside. Kimir ambushes Sol as he is passing down a dimly lit hallway. Expressing gratitude to Sol for assisting him in finding May, Kimir remarks that the two of them form a great team. The two fighters start their clash, and after a few rounds of fighting styles, they find themselves back in the courtyard where Sol murdered Anasea. Sol threatens to destroy Kimir if necessary, to which Kimir responds that May might yet kill Sol before that happens. They engaged in more fighting, during which Kimir attempts to use force holds to bring down Sol with helicopter swords while hurling both his lightsaber and saber dagger at him. Sol switches off his saber and employs a unique force fu move to knock the stranger and the swords back. but Kimir quickly retrieves his blades, slaps them back into a longsword, and launches another attack. May is furious with her sister for all the deaths and mayhem she brought about when Osha discovers her in their former bedroom. May begs Osha to accept responsibility, telling him that Sol never held May responsible for the Coven's demise. Instead, Osha tries to reconcile May's actions with the idea that it is still possible to love someone who has done wrong. Osha's own mixture of sadness and wrath ultimately plagued her and prevented her from accepting the Jedi ways, as May had desired. May reveals that Sol was the one who killed Anastasia, stating that Osha could never be a Jedi if her instructor was the same person who killed her mother. When Osha loses it and strikes May, they engage in a fierce martial arts duel in which May holds her own. When Osha discovers that May has hacked Pip, she becomes even more enraged and squirts Osha in the face with oil. When Sol smugly informs the stranger that Vernstra Rawar's ship is approaching for a landing and that he would soon face justice, Kimir confidently replies that the Jedi are not on his side. We see clips of May versus Osha and Sol versus the stranger in succession. Osha and May both see the arrival of the Jedi ship, which May takes advantage of to disappear from the room. After exchanging sabers, Sol ultimately strikes Kimir, splitting his hilt in half. When the villain takes off his helmet to confront Sol directly, Sol is holding Kimir at the point of his saber, considering killing him. When May unexpectedly shows there, she surprises Sol by taking away his saber. She then throws the weapon upon a nearby rock, cracking it apart to reveal the blue Kyber gem within. Kimir tries to walk May through the last test, which involves taking down Sol without using a weapon, but May declines, preferring to see Sol admit before the Jedi Council and Senate and go to trial for her mother's murder. After doubling down on his defenses, Sol eventually admits that Osha and May are actually one soul divided into two bodies as a result of Anastasia's special use of the Force Vergence on Brendok. Kimir pays close attention as Sol tries to explain to May how her presence and the Vergence on Brendok are evidence of higher Force strength that may be used. May deduces that Sol killed Mother Anastasia out of fear after realizing her strength, and Sol eventually and heavily confesses to killing Anastasia. Having heard Sol's confession, Osha emerges from the shadows and takes up Sol's lightsaber. When Osha questions whether it's true and why she was misled, Sol responds by explaining that they covered things up on Brendok because they needed Osha and May to demonstrate the Vergence's power, that revealing Osha's true origin would have made her a test subject for the Jedi and Republic, and that he wanted to support her in realizing her unattainable goal of becoming a Jedi. As Sol attempts to confess his love for her, Osha ultimately loses it and forces him to choke him in mid-sentence. Before forcing him to stop talking and causing her blue Kyber crystal to begin to bleed crimson in her palm, Osha orders Sol to stop talking. Sol drops to his knees, sobbing, and mumbles, "It's okay," before she kills him. Traumatized, Osha drops to her knees, and Kimir attempts to soothe her by placing his hand on her shoulder. Osha shouts and swings Sol's blade furiously at Kimir, who easily parries her attacks. The blue light on the saber suddenly flickers and bursts into a vibrant crimson hue. May and Osha gaze in amazement and shock at the sword. When Vernstra Rawo and her Jedi team get off the ship, Kimir is not wearing his Cortosis helmet to keep his thoughts hidden. Thus Rawo uses Force Sense to instantly identify Kimir as the former Padawan she had assumed was dead. When Kimir senses that Rawo is aware of him, he immediately puts on his helmet again and leaves Osha and May's side. Basil dashes off of Sol's ship to join him, and Rawo instructs Morg and the other Jedi to follow her as she knows where to go. Osha is startled out of her daze by May, who informs her that they must leave right immediately and that May knows how to do it. Rawo uses her Force powers to pry open the fortress door as the other Jedi approach it, and she also reads all the echoes in the area. As they get at the catwalk where Osha fell, May asks her sister to put her confidence in her. They descend the cliff and reach a secret passageway carved out of the rock wall, the same passageway that 16 years before had drawn May in as she was falling and saved her from the Coven's flames. When Rawo's squad reaches the main courtyard of the Coven, she hears the echoes of everything that transpired that night, including the witches and her 4 Jedi colleagues, Sol, Torben, Kelnaka, and Indara. This was the night the Coven was destroyed. After discovering Sol's body, Rawo dispatches Basil and the Jedi Knights to set up a cordon around the murder site and hunt down the fugitive assailant or assailants. From a lofty vantage point overlooking the courtyard, the stranger is observing Rawo as he kneels over Sol's body and murmurs something. Rawo looks up, sensing the stranger's presence, but he's already disappeared. As they emerge from the tunnel and enter the woodland, Osha asks May what her next course of action should have been all those years ago. When May and Osha reach the bunter tree they used to play beneath, Basil detects May's smell and begins guiding the Jedi after her. May then admits that she waited for her sister for a while after the coven burned. The two sisters break down in tears and repeat their childhood rhyme about being two in one, apologizing to each other for everything, including the fire. As Kimir approaches them stealthily, he uses the Force to seize Osha's lightsaber and informs the girls that the Jedi will soon find him as well. Osha feels that the Jedi must make up for what Sol did to Anastasia, therefore she wants to confess to them. However, May and Kimir reassure her that this is foolish and that the Jedi would see her as an adversary who may destroy her, just like they did Anastasia. May asks her sister what she wants because Osha is at a loss for what to do. If May is released from her contract, Osha decides to train on the dark side and become Kimir's disciple. Kimir offers to use his Force powers to mind wipe May, erasing all memories of him and Osha, as the Jedi squad approaches. May gives her approval, but Osha is unable to follow through until May instructs her sister to follow her destiny once more without interference. Kimir returns Osha's lightsaber and wants to have a last embrace with her sister before promising to see her again in the future. Osha reaches out her hand to him. They recite their nursery rhyme once more, but midway through, May motions for Kimir to clear her head, and he complies. May finds it difficult to complete the rhyme, and Osha grins, satisfied that the task is completed. When the Jedi arrive to the bunter tree, May is by herself and appears to be lost and confused. May is hauled before the Jedi temple on Coruscant, Vernstra Rawo. When Rawo questions May, she genuinely doesn't remember anything save the night of the Coven fire and Sol killing Anastasia. She is aware of the urge to find someone, but she is unable to identify who it is. Rawo tells May that, despite being an otherwise kind and honorable Jedi, Sol is the guy from her recollection and that he killed May's mother. Rawo presents that testimony regarding Sol before the tribunal that Senator Rayencourt established in a series of woven montages. Rawo portrays Sol and his allies as bad apples, who wronged Brendok, and Sol as the assassin who murdered his 3 accomplices as well as other Jedi in order to hide his larger crime. Looking again at the moment where Rawo is kneeling over Sol's body on Brendok, one can see that she apologized to him deeply in a whisper, even though she knew what she was about to do to his reputation and legacy. Rayencourt advocates for an extensive external examination of the Jedi Order, to which Rawo responds that Sol is viewed by the High Council as a renegade Jedi, driven by remorse to return to his murder scene and commit suicide. In a different flashback, Rawo gives Sol a Jedi burial pyre on a river, where his corpse is burned to remove any trace of his true demise. As May is relating the narrative, the montages return to Rawo, where the Jedi Master is persuading herself of its veracity. When Rawo informs May that Sol was corrupted by her sister's self-centered devotion, she forgets one important element, leaving May wondering if she even had a sister at all. Rawo asks May whether she feels something when she hears the word Osha, but she doesn't. If May can assist the Order first, Rawo reminds May that the Jedi failed her and that they must set things right. When May asks what needs to be done, Rawo says she needs her assistance in finding one of her former students who became wicked. Returning to Kimir's secret planet refuge, he and Osha stand clutching the lightsaber and gazing out to sea at the setting sun between rugged islands in the distance. A dramatic overture is playing while they do so. Before Vernstra Rawo enters a private area at the Jedi Temple and apologizes for intruding, the screen goes blank. Master Yoda's back is shown when the camera pans down. Rawo informs Yoda that they have some things to talk about.
I know a way out.